Alright, let's talk about something that's been on my mind lately, the Rolex obsession. I mean, who hasn't dreamed of strapping on a Submariner or a GMT-Master II? But let's be real, unless you're sitting on a pile of cash, that dream feels about as attainable as winning the lottery. And even if you do have the funds, dropping 5 figures on a watch can feel, well, a little insane. But here's the thing, you don't have to go broke to get that Rolex vibe. There are alternatives out there that capture the essence of those iconic designs without emptying your bank account. So today, I'm breaking down some of the best affordable alternatives to Rolex's most famous models. And trust me, these aren't just cheap knockoffs. They're watches with their own personality, their own story. Let's dive in. First up, the Rolex Submariner. Look, I get it, it's the dive watch. The one that screams I've made it. But here's the kicker, the Baltic Aquascaf MK2. Now, personally, I think what makes this watch so interesting is how it doesn't try to be a Submariner clone. Instead, it takes inspiration from the 1950s skin divers, clean, compact, and just cool. It's got that vintage charm but with modern touches, like the date window. And at £540, it's a fraction of the price. What many people don't realize is that Baltic has carved out its own niche in the watch world, and this watch is a perfect example of that. It's not trying to be Rolex, it's just being itself, and that's what makes it stand out. Next, let's talk about the Rolex Explorer. It's one of those watches that's so simple, it's almost boring, but in the best way. If you're looking for an alternative, I'd point you to the Hamilton Khaki Field Mechanical. What makes this really interesting is Hamilton's military heritage. I mean, Rolex has its history, but Hamilton? They've been making watches for soldiers since World War II. That's a story you can wear on your wrist. Plus, it's lightweight, durable, and goes with everything. In my opinion, it's the kind of watch that says, I don't need flashy, I've got substance. Now, the Rolex Datejust. This is the watch that does it all, boardroom to bar, no problem. But if you're looking for something similar without the Rolex tax, check out the Citizen Ciosa. What this really suggests is that you don't need a Swiss name to get a great watch. Citizen's automatic movement, integrated bracelet, and Cyclops-style date magnifier give it that familiar feel, but the colorful dial options add a bit of fun. It's like the Datejust's cooler, more laid-back cousin. And at £299, that's a no-brainer. Moving on to the GMT-Master II, the ultimate traveler's watch. But if you're not ready to sell a kidney for one, the Laurier Hyperion is worth a look. Laurier is this small New York brand that's been killing it with vintage-inspired designs. The Hyperion has that classic GMT look, with a proper traveler's movement, but it doesn't feel like a Rolex tribute act. What I find fascinating is how it captures the romance of the golden age of air travel without trying too hard. It's understated, it's elegant, and it's got soul. Finally, the Rolex Daytona. The chronograph that's become a status symbol. But if you're not into waiting lists or dropping 5 figures, the Fera Carnegie chronograph is a fantastic alternative. Fera is known for their bold colors and thoughtful design, and the Carnegie is no exception. It's got personality, it's got style, and it proves you don't need a Rolex to own a watch that turns heads. Personally, I think this is the kind of watch that says, I march to the beat of my own drum. So, what's the bigger picture here? Rolex will always be Rolex, there's no denying that. But these alternatives show that you don't need to break the bank to get a watch that feels special. Each of these brands has taken a different approach, and that's what makes them so compelling. They're not trying to be Rolex, they're just being themselves. And in a world where everyone's chasing the same thing, that's what makes them stand out. If you take a step back and think about it, isn't that what we all want in a watch? Something that tells our story, not just the time? Anyway, that's my 2 cents. What do you think? Are these alternatives worth it? Or is Rolex the only way to go? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more watch content. Until next time, keep it ticking.